Now we'll see the next topic of structures and master data, that is network and activities. Network and activities. When structuring projects, use networks as well as work breakdown structures to plan dates and resources. The procurement of material and external activities should also be carried out later using network. While creating a network, we must assign it a network profile, network type, and reference to a plan. However, the network profile can already contain default values for the network type and plan. The network profile and network type are important tables in project system customizing while specifying the characteristics of a network. They store default values and control data for the network in question. Depending upon the plant and network type, the system selects control data and default values from 3 other profiles in customizing: the parameter for the network type, the confirmation parameter, and the scheduling parameter. So these are the very important profiles for the networks. The defined checking control table is also required to check the availability of material components in networks. This table is defined depending upon the plant and network type for open and released networks in customizing for the SAP project system. So here the network profile, which contains the data of control keys, graphic profiles, field keys, etc. Whereas network type contains segment profiles, status profile, residence times. Network type parameters, those are of plant plus network type, is header and activity account assignment, costing variants, change profile, etc. Scheduling parameters of plant plus network type combination having scheduling type, schedule automatically indicator, reduction of strategy. Confirmation parameters based upon plant plus network type combination checks, various checks, workflow, proposed services, etc. Control key. The control key of an activity stipulates the activity type, whether it is a internal processing, external processing, service, or general cost activity. The control key also determines how an activity is handled during calculation, scheduling, capacity planning, and shop paper printing. Define the control key in customizing for the SAP project system. Also can define control keys in the network profile or standard network profile as default values for activity elements to be created. Here we can see the control key controls the type of activity, relevance to costing, routing papers, confirmation messages, relevance to scheduling, relevance to capacity. So these will influence the internal processing which going to be performed in-house, external processing, and services cost activity. Networks and their activities build the basis for planning, analyzing, and control dates, costs, capacity, materials, resources, and service required for carrying out a project and its tasks. Networks are used to show the flow of a project or an action involved in a project. The fundamental elements that form a network are network headers, activities, and relationships. There are many ways to create networks. Using the project builder and the transaction create networks. We can create networks manually or using operative networks or standard networks as templates without having to access them using a work breakdown structure. For creating networks for a WBS or for simulation versions can use the project planning board or structure planning. By transferring the simulation version to an operative project, create an operative network. For using standard structures as templates, can decide whether assigned networks should be created when created WBS using an indicator. So the network creation in the direct method, create a network by transaction or from project builder, or in the indirect methods, assembly processing or from the WBS creation or project planning board and simulation, structure planning and time scheduling. So here we are creating manually or with templates or a standard with the help of standard networks. In the SAP system, the network is a special kind of work order which uses a common structure with production or maintenance orders. For example, each network has a unique identification that is assigned either automatically by the system depending upon the network type or by the user when he or she creates the network. That means here we are using either internal number assignment or external number assignment. The network header of a network contains default organizational assignment data and control data that applies to the entire network, similar to the project definition for WBS elements. In the network header, we can assign a network to a work breakdown structure, a sales order, or a high level network if you are working with the sub networks. Activities form the basis for planning and executing networks. Each activity can be assigned to any WBS element as long as it is an account assignment element. The network is scheduled at the activity level. Relationships determine the order in which activities are carried out. Consequently, relationships and the duration of the activities are essential for scheduling networks. Use activity elements to split activities into more detail or enhance them. So, in the network header contains of network, it is a internal or a external number assignment, and in the header having the information of default values, control values, account assignment object, and the activities will be assigned to the network header, planning element or account assignment element, and the activities further divided into activity elements if required, and linking between the activities. This network header, it can be header assigned or activity assigned. Networks can be header assigned or activity assigned depend upon order type or plan. Normally, activity assigned networks are used where costs are gathered in each activity. Header assigned networks are only significant for the assignment of networks to sales orders. That means there no WBS will be used. The SAP project system has the following activity categories. Internally processed activities contain a work center at which the work is to be carried out. They contain the working time and the duration of the activity. The assignment of the work center to a cost center provides an activity type and a rate so that planned costs can be calculated for the activity. External activities are used for procuring activities or services that are not procured within your company. Purchase requisitions are generated for externally procured activities that are processed in purchasing. A differentiation is made between external processing and service for externally procured activities. General cost activities enable to plan costs that can be planned by neither internal nor external activities. For example, we can plan expenses or insurance costs using general cost activities. Normally, activities are not organized in a random order in a network. They are usually technical or content stipulated dependencies between the activities. Relationships determine the chronological sequence of the individual activities in a networks or in different networks. We can enter additional data, that is such as time interval of the relationship or reference to the particular factory calendar, in the detail screen for each relationship. The type of relationship defines how the individual activities are linked to each other. In addition, can define time intervals for the relationships, allowing to control, for example, the activity assembly begins 2 days after the end of the activity production, or that activity purchasing order begins according to the plan if 20% of the design phase has been completed. Here we can see the clear relationships. Finish to start, that is FS relationship. That means once the production has been finished, then only the assembly procedure will be start. So this is the relationship will be used to link these two activities. Another one is start to start, SS relationship. The engineering design and purchase order processing simultaneously will be started, but both are starts together. Finish to finish. Engineering design and work scheduling both finishes together. Once the engineering design will be finishes, then only work scheduling will be finishes. Start to finish. The approval of certification will be started once the test run has been finished. So this is start to finish relationship. Normally or by default, finish to start relationship will be used. So here you can see the relationships in the structure graphic. The activity specification, mechanical layout, execution and electrical layout. For example, if we consider the relationships are maintained, like specification to electrical layout, you can see clearly the relationship of finish to start. So from the structure graphic, it is quite evident to find out the relationship between the activities. Activities are given detail by activity elements, or can assign an action element to an internally processed activity for design services. If, for example, a specific detailed design should be carried out by an external provider. Activity elements have almost the same functionality as activities. Types of activity elements include internal processing elements, external processing elements, and general cost elements. All activity elements have a date reference to the activity to which they are assigned. The activity elements themselves do not affect scheduling. For this reason, they do not have any relationships or durations. Materials and relationships are assigned to the superior activity. Activity elements are assigned to WS elements if necessary. The assignment has the same function as in the case of the activities, but has no influence or time scheduling of WS elements. Like we already discussed the different types of activities: internal processing, cost, external activity, and services, which has reference date, start or a finish, and resources, using the resources like work, capacity, material, and relationships. So the same thing will be applicable to activity elements except material and relationships. Resource planning in networks include the planning of internal and external activities, the procurement of materials, the assignment of text and documents, and the planning of milestones. While planning milestone dates or determine the dates on which materials are required can reference the dates of the superior activity. Plan material requirements by assigning material components to activities. Material requirements forms the basis for procurement, whether the material be procured in-house or procured externally. That means the production or purchasing. Along with activity elements, PS text, documents and material components can assign milestones to activities. For using particular milestones several times in a project planning, we should create standard milestones and use these as template to copy from. So in the resource planning, we are using here internal service like labor, capacity requirements, external services, material, documents, PS text, milestones. And we are assigning documents, PS text, milestones, material for the resource planning purpose. Milestones assigned to activities or WB elements are used in SAP project system for the following tasks and functions. For information and reporting purpose in the information system and in the project planning board. For milestone trend analysis. For the milestone technique of progressive analysis. For milestone dates in billing plans and milestone billing. For defined milestone functions in activities. Release subsequent activities. Release up to release milestone. Include a standard network. Create a network. Include a subnetwork. Start a workflow task. So these are the functions we use with the milestones. So if you see the activity milestone screen, we have the similar functionalities of WBS. We can trigger a milestone function automatically when change the system status or user status in the activity or manually. If an actual date is defined in the milestone. Subnetworks are one way to detail a network in the project flow. We can define subnetworks for subnetworks until the level of detail is achieved as required. We can therefore create a subnetwork for the subnetwork and so on. We can also create maintenance orders as subnetworks for a superior network that can be scheduled from SAP project system. Data is exchanged between the network and the subnetwork. The assignment to the WBS, sales order and possibly configuration is transferred from the header of the superior network. The basis dates of the activity are copied as the basis dates of the header of the subnetwork. It is also possible to copy the settlement rule, the profit center and the business area. We can also copy the relationships of the higher level activity to the subnetwork. Here the network and activities using detailing the activities manually or automatically are subnetworks. So we can see the entire functions of subnetworks. The control key of the higher level activity is changed on the basis of the network type of the higher level network and of the subnetwork. This determines which tasks are carried out by the higher level activity. Relevance for costing, relevance for scheduling and so on. Create networks from network headers, activities, relationships and activity elements, and we can detail them using the subnetworks. We can assign a large number of objects to activities. Networks are mainly used to map the logistical aspects of project. Use maximum of 10,000 activities and elements per project. Use a maximum of 500 activities and activity elements per network. Use activity element to split an activity to its various tasks. Do not assign activities from a header assigned network to several WS elements. Use the option of creating several networks and subnetworks for one project to store different responsibilities. Remember that networks have a lock logic. So if you follow these tips, the performance of the utilization, networks utilization will be better way. A standard network is structured in much the same way as a network. However, the internal structure of a standard network is like a task list, comparable to the structure of a routing in logistics. Whereas an operative network is created like an order. This means there are small differences between a standard network and a network. A standard network can have more than one alternative. Alternatives can indicate different uses or validities. The header of the standard network contains different data to the header of an operative network. The standard network have their own person responsibilities. These person responsibles are nothing but planner groups. Standard networks have their own profiles and status that can enter in customizing for the project system. Materials are assigned by means of material BOMs and standard BOMs. So the standard network can have similarly external processing, services, general cost, internal processing, and alternative uses, status, standard WS element, and plant. Standard networks cannot assign materials directly to the standard network, but only indirectly using bills of material. The BOM in question can be either a material BOM or a standard BOM. A standard BOM does not have a header component. It is a tool that is used only for assigning material components to a standard network. It is created and edited directly in the standard network. In a second step, the individual BOM items are assigned to the activities of the standard network. Quantum assemblies are explored at several levels, so the individual materials can be assigned to the network activities. For creating networks and activities, we have to start with the customizing settings. So we'll go to SPRO, customizing guide. In the customizing guide for the network settings, we have to go to project system. In the power system, structures, operative structures, then network. Here we will do the customized setting for the networks. So first one is the user status. If you want any specific user status, we can create a profile for networks. So we'll see existing profiles, anything has been created or not. There is one profile has been already created, that is here PS 503, and it is blank. So if required, we can create a profile over here and we can use for our purpose. So that will be 0010. We can say created. And one more, if you want, we can create this, that is for release. Now we have to assign any standard business transaction for this release user status if required. For that purpose, we have to double click on the status for where we want to have specific linkage of business transactions. So these are the list of business transactions relevant to network. We can say that the flow of business transaction has to be linked with the user status. So here we can say once we release this user status, we can prevent further, like we can say release can be set. Save. So this is the user status profile we are using for the networks. So now we have created one user status profile and created new user statuses and linked with the business transaction. Now we have to use the object type also for this user status profile. It should be linked with the networks. Let's see whether it is linked with the any object type or not. It has been already linked with the network header and network activity. Otherwise, we have to select these two objects for the linking. Now we'll go to the next settings for networks, and we'll see the network types. Now by standard, system will provide us some default network types. If any special requirement is there other than standard default network types, we can create our own network types also by copying them. So now we'll see what are the values has been maintained in the network types given by the SAP standard. We can see over here standard network types are available. PS01 network with header assignment. If you see what are the settings has been enabled in this network header, this is CO partner update, residence time 2 months and 4 months, functional area, and here status profile has been mentioned PS0003, which we have created already. So here if we required, we can change the network settings. Otherwise, we can use the standard network settings. Here some settings are there. Control indicator. One is classification. That means this order will be classified or not. Once we check this option, this order type will be classified. classified orders can be selected in the information system for controlling in a list showing all orders that have certain characteristic values and statuses. The value of classified orders can be grouped with the product drill down or order hierarchies. If required, this selection can be taken. By default, this is not selected. The next option is planning. If we select this indicator, it will specify that we are only using the network for the planning. All of the planned cost from the network will be appended to WBS element. They do not raise any assigned values. So this is one more indicator, we can use this. And the next thing are reorganization of the order types. So reorganization an object, normally it requires setting the deletion flag, which can be resetted, or setting the final deletion indicator, reorganizing, like that. This residence time 1, it determines a time interval that must elapse between setting the deletion flag and setting the deletion indicator. This is for the purpose of archiving. So what is the time elapsed between the deletion flag and the deletion indicator? So this is one more thing. In case of keeping in mind, keeping archiving in mind, we can set this. The second residence time, it determines the time that must elapse between setting the deletion indicator and reorganizing the object. So by default, these are selected as 2 months and 4 months. We can change at any point of time. Now the next thing is the cost part. Here the functional area is selected. If any functional area has been created for the this organization, this information can be filled out. Then object class, this object class can be selected for the purpose of investment or for the purpose of overhead or anything else we want to specifically indicate. These can be used. Overhead cost, investment cost, production cost are a profitable analysis. And the next thing is settlement profile. By standard, the settlement profile has been selected to 60. If we are creating any new settlement profile, we have to create our own profile and we have to assign to this network type. So this is, next one is PS02 order type. There is no difference, all are same. Now we'll go to other setting. If any settings are being changed, so we'll come back and assign a new order type and we'll use the created new profiles. Now comes specified parameters for the network type. So the network type PS01 will have its own settings, which we, if required, we can change the default values for the PS01 also. It will be assigned to a plant wise. So here, as of now, for example, for the plant 3000, we'll assign, we'll take a entry, we'll take plant 3000 network type. At the moment we are considering PS01, and we have to see the network type to the parameters. Which type of parameters we are using? Like we supposed to use for the WBS element. Other than WBS element, what are the strategies are there? We can see from the standard list. One is WBS element project definition, one is WBS element. So we are using for the WBS element. Then default rule for the usage. So this default rule basically used for the CO settlement. Here we have created some default rules for the distribution purpose. The default rule determines how the kind of distribution rule is structured. So by standard, it hasn't selected anything. We will create one default rule and we can assign to this, or in general we'll select the default rule to WBS, which is requesting cost center, which is the cost center which is available in the WBS. So we are selecting either, or we can say to networks to WBS element. This will be the preferable one. Otherwise we have to maintain the cost center in the WBS also. Now the next thing is reduction strategy. This reduction strategy per operation per activity, it specifies the lead time of operation or activity. For each reduction strategy we can define up to 6 reduction levels. This further it will be detailed in the scheduling part. Now the cost variance, again we have to decide over here. This it specifies the variant, combines the all parameters for evaluating material, internal activities and external activities in the preliminary costing and the secondary costing. So the cost variant plan and cost variant actuals we have to select. So these are also, we can see further what are the settings has been maintained for the planned and actual, so that we can assign over here the settings for cost variant plan and cost variant actual. So by default there are no cost variables has been selected, variant plans are been selected. Now the next thing is, it comes plan cost calculation. The calculation of planned cost. We can decide whether the planned costs are updated or calculated. It should be always or never or upon the release. So here we can see the cost variance, planned and actual. So at the moment we'll select the default values. Then if required we can change these settings. Now here the planned cost, next one is planned cost calculation. If we want to choose this planned cost only, have changed our cost again. So here we'll see how planned cost to be updated, whether it should determine the planned cost or not, determine planned cost if release, determine planned cost, update planned cost if release, otherwise update planned cost. So we can say determine planned cost automatically. We can consider this. And the next thing is whether change documents are required or not for each and every updation of the network settings. Now there is some more indicators, workflow for purchase order change. If we use this indicator, it will specify whether changes to quantities or dates of non-stock components, external activities and external elements should create a workflow or not. So we are not using any workflow process, so we are not selecting that. Now the next thing comes activity for the account assignment. So if you specify that account assignment is to be carried out at activity level, this account assignment will be selected at a header level. That means in a network activities we are willing to do the activity planning or not. Normally the planning will take place at the activity level, so we are selecting account assignment at activity level. The next one is net order price. This indicator specifies the net price cannot be changed when copied over from the purchase requisition into the purchase order. So we can say the net order price should not be changed, and collective, if we are having more than one activity in a network and we are assigning some external activities in each and every operation, whatever purchase requisition will be created, it should have a same purchase requisition number, or it should have a different. That depends upon this. If we select this collective requisition number, system will generate only one purchase requisition for all activities. So sometime it may raise the confusion, so better not to select the collective requisition, so that whenever we create a purchase requisition, it will have its own number. Now this one is the change documents, whether we require order status, operation status, material status, or a PRT status change documents need to be created. Now the next thing is bill of material usage, whether bill of material usage is required or not, automatic determination whether it is required or not. And the next one is the change profile. If you are using any change profile management, we have to use. So these many settings we have to put for a network type. So for network type PS01, we have selected. So we can say over here network type settings. Now we have made the setting network type settings for the PS01, which is with the header one, that is PS01, with the header assignment. Now PS01 and PS02 also has been selected over here. We can see PS02, this is PS01 and PS02. With the PS02 it is already selected, so we'll take out this changes. You'll select all the change documents, and this is the same setting remaining also. And here we can say the strategy will be 02, and collective release we are not selecting. So this is one more setting we have made. Now for the plant 3001 also, if we required, we can use. We are using the same settings for the plant 3001. The plant has been not created, so 3001 is not there. So we'll remains with the 3000 plant only. So we'll go for the next setting. Next setting we'll see for the network profile. This is the network profile, and there will be some standard network profile settings will be there. We'll see the existing settings, then if required we'll go for the new network profile. So here we have two network profiles been given by the system by default. One is with header and another one is with activity assignment. So here we can see for the plant 1300 network type PS01, planner group also selected. So we will copy this for our plant. Okay, so now we do the copy, and this is here we have to use the network profile name. We are giving a network profile name starting with the plant. and PS we are using one is PS1 we have put assignment. Network profile for 3000. We can use the profile by plant wise, or we can use the profile by company code, or we can use the profile for entire same profile we can use for entire organization also. So here we are specifically maintaining for the plant, so better we'll have each and every profile for the plant 3000, and network type PS01. Planner group will make it common. So this is MRP controller group. If any created for this plant, MRP controller we can use. This is, we can say this is MRP controller. Now this is the relation view, relationship we are using mixed one, and we can see further details about the relationships in the scheduling part. Now this is the next step is level of detail. This level of detail will tell us for the maintenance of graphics and interfaces. So at the moment here we are selecting the value. We are selecting the value, level of detail is 2, and this is increment for the component. We can consider it 10, and operation increment 0010, and WBS assignment is there where we need to check. So basically this check for the WBS assignment, the activity days will be checked in top-down scheduling of work breakdown structure. The system checks whether the activity dates lies within the basic dates of the WBS element or not. Suppose the dates are exceeded based upon scheduling key, not save the days, then adjust the start date, finish date, like that. So whether it needs to be checked or not, it is always recommended to use with the warning the dates are available or not. And the next setting is procurement indicator. So we'll see this procurement indicator first, then we'll assign over here. We'll first of all create a procurement indicator which determines the purchasing part, and this is the field key and version profile, standard text key. Now next one is when PR has to be purchase requisition has to be created upon release. So there's 2. Capacity requirements has to be considered or not. Entry tool is required or not. Align finish date, yes. Project summarization, master data, yes. So if any validation substitutions are used, we can assign to this. So this is about the network header data details. Next we'll see the graphic details. Graphic profile by standard it is PS only. Release display, colors and profiles. The planning board profiles, if required we can change this. Time scheduling profiles and overall profile schedule profiles, and the activities. Now activity control keys are here. We will check what are the control keys are there and what is the purpose of control key in the next step. So by default PS01 control key is there, and here we can say unit for the work. We can select even hours also. HR and calculation key, maintain manually or calculate automatically, that is also there. We can consider calculate work, and the next thing is control key, and this is the automatic cost element generation, and this is control key for services with costing or without costing. For the services, it is always preferable to take with internal processing or costing, and unit of measure also we can select for the services. Then external process activity, the currency we can say USD. Purchase organization, we can consider purchase organization is US01. We'll see the purchase organization values 3000, sorry, and the other default values we can leave it while entering. So this is the network profile we have created, and we can change the network profile details if any. Further, we are creating customized profiles for any individual elements. So there is no unit for the job, so we can consider even lot also. There is no unit, so we'll leave it out, this unit. So we have created one profile for plant 3000 and PS1 header activity. So we'll create a request. This is network profile 3000 and PS01 network type. So similar network profile we can create for the network type PS02 also by using the existing settings and only changing the network type. Will remain with the existing profiles. So we have created one more network type. Now this is the number ranges for the network. Normally for the networks we can have internal or external number ranges also. We'll see any number ranges are selected. It is advisable to keep external number range profile, because it is better to have project oriented number ranges for the networks. If we have external number ranges, then we can assign to that. Now we'll see here for our order type PS01 is anything is assigned or not. PS01 there is one number range has been assigned, and even we require for the external also. So we can consider one number range for we'll create one number range with external number range allocation. So what we do is this is the group without text for PS01 and PS02. Network types are there. So here we create one for network external number range, and we can consider like starting with n, and we can say, and it can have from A. If you remember, we have set our project profile starting with U, so we'll allow our to match with the project profile. We are keeping with the U. After that, allowing all the numbers, and we are allowing the external. So we have selected this. So it is overlapping with anybody. It is overlapping with one more, A to ZZ. So this we need to take out. So now we'll correct the existing one, that is in the intervals, and this one will make it up to M letter. And this is we have saved. Now we'll create one new group, and we'll assign the number range with the starting with n external. So we are going for group, insert, network external number range, and here we are concerning with starting with n and u. To n and u, and we can say the it will have the next number, or we can consider directly all ens, z, and adding. So we have created new number range. Now we'll assign our order types or there. So this we have to assign back to our new number range group. So here we will take PS01 and PS02 will shift to new one. We have created network. So where it is, motor A, grouping, process order, repair. We are unable to locate the not assigned to network external number range U. It is already there. So number range. Where is the group without text code? We can find out the newly created network group from the overview. We can find out from here. This is the new group. So simply we have to rename this. So we are going to the groups, then this is the new group, and maintain text. This is we are created for network external number range. So now we'll assign the order types PS01 and PS02. We'll move over to here and save. So if we see here, these are having PS01 and PS02. So now if we create a network, it will be allowed for the external number range assignment. Now the next setting will be for the network activities. In the network activities, we have the control key. We have standard control keys PS01, PS02, PS03, PS04, like that. We'll see what are the settings are there for the project system control keys. PS01 is the external processing. PS01 basically it should be internal processing. It has been by mistake, it has written as an internal. In the standard we can say it is internal processing, and it requires a scheduling, detailing capacity requirements. These details we can clearly we can learn in the session of the scheduling part. So we'll not touch this at this moment. So next step we'll go for suitability. Account assignment is not there. Then we'll see is there anything in the change profile. We are not using the change management. Work centers will be automatically we are going to create here. We can see the work center categories for the process systems. Work center category, we'll see what is that 00 work center category for the process systems. It has been not defined, so we'll create one work center category for the process systems. Zero zero 0006 is a project management is there. It is the similar one. You can see it should be for the networks. Yes, it is there already. Network category, and change document is not selected. The next thing is define usage. This is for the usage of the work center purpose. we can consider all maintenance tasks or any are only for networks also. Normally by standard they will create one use case for the networks. Yes, it is there, and task list type is a standard network. And we'll see the next setting is maintain default data for the work center. The default data, it is nothing but a plant or work center category. We cannot keep this because it is going to be used for all the applications. Person responsible for the work center, these are the person responsibles are already created. Now MRP controllers, so already MRP controllers will come with the default system, or we can use, if any specific MRP controllers are being maintained for plant wise, we can use those also. And in the next step is priorities. Other than standard priorities, we can create our own priorities if required. Normally this will be highest, urgent and normal. So here we'll see for the 3000 MRP controllers are already defined. And next thing is priorities, we already decided highest, normal, urgent and normal. And printing in the networks, after doing the planning or scheduling, we can use specific shop papers for the printing. Parameters for the sub networks, other than main network, we can use the mapping of the network types. Similar we are using over here. Schedule background jobs or user interfaces. In the user interfaces, the settings for user fields and user field groups we can create. So these are the major settings we can say for the network. And in the templates also we can see the standard network templates. General settings for standard, and the priorities will be the same, and control keys also same, PS01, PS02, PS03, 04, 05. And user fields, set up number ranges, define parameters, remaining are all same for the standard also. Now these are the other than this standard settings for the network activities and all. We'll see the next any other settings are available for the creation of networks, are there or not. So one thing will come as a settlement profiles for the networks. So we'll go to the costs, then automatic and periodic allocations, then it will come in the settlement. Then we'll go to the settlement profile. In the settlement profile we'll see one by one allocation structure. This allocation structure we have already created for the WBS. Same allocation structure we can use. Now we'll see the source structure we are not using. Now we'll create a settlement profile. Settlement profile, we have already created one settlement profile for asset under construction. Now we'll create one settlement profile. We will consider by copying that. We will create one more PS network. We can say NTW. Settlement network. So here the change will be allocation structure we are using the same, but our default object type will be WBS. whenever we do the settlement from the network, it will go to automatically WBS. So WBS will use here, and here fixed assets will not be there. Instead of fixed asset, it will be WBS. And the document type, instead of asset posting, in the asset posting, it is the jail account document will be there. And maximum number of distribution rules, instead of 999, we can keep 3 are sufficient, and residence time also 3 months is sufficient. 100% validation is not required. Settlement percentage is there, equivalence number and amount settlement also not required. So we have created the settlement rule, settlement profile. For network. In the AUC also, I think it should be, this is GL number, and maximum distribution rules will be, we can consider 100, and this is 12 months is okay, and fixed asset and PS, this will be okay. So this is one settlement profile. Now strategy we already created for the strategy, and next profile will be, we'll check for the material availability for the materials. So we'll go to the next setting will be material, and in the material we'll check for availability check. In the availability check, whatever materials we are assigning to the network activities, we need to keep checking rules. Here we can see there are some checking rules are already defined. For PS checking rule is already defined. Now this also scope also it is there. Finally we have to assign this checking control. So for PS, which have been selected, this is PS. In the batches also it is selected. We can see the checking scope: safety stock, stock in transfer, including quality inspection stock, including purchase order, requisitions. This is the checking scope. Now we'll assign this to checking control. Checking control, it will be for the plant wise and network type. For PS01 we'll see there is no entry has been made, so we have to make one entry. So we'll use copy PM order, PS01 will be our order type, and checking rule is PS. Availability check is 1, and this is PS02, this is PS. So we have created checking control. for network types 1 and 02. So this is we have created for the checking control for the network type, and the next one we'll see the next setting after this. In the procurement it will be account assignment categories, yes, and this is also procurement indicator for material components. These also we have to assign. So we'll create new entries for this. Procurement indicator, we can say PS1. We can give the name PREQ for network. So here what we consider is the priority we have to give. First of all, it has to check the priority for the project, then plant, then go to the order. Actually these priorities will be checked when the PR is being created. When PR is being created, the system will checks the priority, will check the priority for which it has to considered first as a requirement. Then we have to give the priority for the project or a plant or a sales order. And the next thing is control data. So by assigning, after assigning this priority for the various stock types, here we are controlling the stock type where the component has been kept. So if we keep the priority, here we are keeping the priority 1 for the project stock, then system will keep the component primarily in the primary stock, project stock, then it will go for the plant stock, then for the order stock. So that is the priority for the projects. Always the preference has to be given for the project only. So the next thing is control data. The control data, what it specifies is when a purchase requisition has been created, the requirements replenishing purchase requisition should be generated for a component in a network, as well as MRP relevant reservation. So this is only possible for components that are managed in individual stock. That means here we are giving as a PR for network. That means it is creating one network as well as PR number also. And the next thing is this is the item category which needs to be considered, whether it is a stockable item or a non-stockable item, like that. So here there are settings in the control data other than PR network. If we keep the third party indicator, it will check that, it will stipulate that external procured material should be delivered directly to the customer or another location instead of placing into project or a plant or a sales order. And another one is preliminary requirements. If we use this preliminary requirements to register the requirements, that is nothing but basically MRP, material requirement planning. So it comes from the MRP controller and it will place us directly from there also. So we can use both the things, one with the PR key, and this is procurement indicator. If required, we can select this the primary requirements also. So this is about the procurement indicator. Though after the procurement indicator, we'll go for this account assignment categories and document types for the purchase requisitions. Now we'll see the existing entries for this. NB is a document type and account assignment is here, order is there, project to make. This is project and sales order. For the order category 20, we require here instead of F, it should be N. So if we change this, system will change the other also. So we'll create new one. Z and B, and this we consider N, and Q this is E. Okay, and the sales document project we can consider other than P, we can use D also, and this is another one is TP requirement, third party requirement for WBS element, account assignment category. This we can leave it out for the sales order. So before doing this, we have to create a document type. So we'll use the same NB and enter save. So this will go to account assignment. And doc type. So this is one more setting we have made. The next thing is next setting we'll see, and we define movement type for the materials. Define movement type for the material movements. This will be the standard setting. Just we'll check it out what are the standard settings have been made. Goods issue 221, GI cancellation 222, that is a planned stock. And for the project stock, if required we can make it out. Project stock and sales order stock. So we can use, if required, separate movement type is required or not. Normally for the project stock it will be 281 and 282 will be there. GI for project stock, this will be 281. GI for the network, yes. And even for the plant stock also it should be 281, 282, and GR by project, this is the byproduct. For the byproduct we can consider network 582 and GR by byproduct again 581 and 582, and this is sales order also again 281 and 282, 581 and 582. This we can consider material movement types. So this is the setting we have done for the material movement types. Now the next setting will be MRP groups for requirement grouping. Whenever we do the MRP groups, MRP group, so here we'll check for the plant 3000 if any existing are there. There are some MRP for the each and every MRP group. Already the settings has been made for all MRP groups, service orders. So this is a setting has been made. So these are the prerequisites for the creation of network and activities. Now we have created some more profiles. So we'll change those details in the network profiles. So we have created one network profile here, network type, material, so we have created the procurement key that we are assigning, that is PS1. And we have to assign for network type the settlement profile also. So network profile, we'll use the same PS1. Now then we'll do for the network type settlement profile, instead of 60 we'll use the settlement profile created by us. Similar setting will make for the PS02 also. With this we have made all the almost all the settings for creating network and network activities.